All right.
This one now, since I've got your consent. I have, so if we move now to, can you see my screen?
Yeah, entry 3 reading.
Okay, so this is my entry 3 reading. I don't know in Poland whether you deal a lot with safeguarding or not. But in England, we've got, I mean, I have created this, but having said that, I have created the slide, but we all go through safeguarding, and that's part of the very first lesson in each term. You know, as safeguarding induction, but I prefer to put it on the slide for everybody to remember that. So safeguarding is not only a physical to do with physical abuse, but it's also emotional. So we respect each other in class, give each other a chance to take part in the lesson, and we respect each other's opinions. This can only be achieved when we are polite, when we speak to each other. I just thought I'll leave it there. It's always been there. This is a higher level to compare to the previous one. It's an entry 3, and they have got a good command of the English language. They know their past simple, they know their past perfect, they know their vocabulary. They are able to maintain a very decent conversation. Even with English people, not just with a teacher. I mean, at times it becomes a little bit challenging, but it's always a challenge for them. So I can, when was this lesson? When did it take place? On the 3rd of June, and I can't recollect the topic. I don't have the text with me. Oh, yeah, here it is. I think this is to do with their exam. So I generated different vocabulary items and short texts to do with immigration, homelessness, and accommodation, because part of the exam topic was about these 3 subjects. So I looked at the exam papers, I looked at different texts, and I collected again vocabulary. And you can tell from the prompts, because these vocabulary items prompt them to discuss and to understand the words. So when they are faced in a text with these words, they don't come as a surprise, to them. Am I there, Slavomir? Am I there? I can't see myself.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, okay.
That's fine.
So I've got, words like the word valid, facilities, amenities, toiletries, lounge, and for this word, all what comes to their mind is, oh, at the airport, because they see words clearly there. We had a challenge last time to explain what's the difference between luggage and baggage. And when they asked me, I said, you know what, actually, I don't know, because
Luggage is American, yeah?
I don't know. I always use the word baggage, and I left them with that. And sometimes I use the word I don't know. We've got the word, because in the text there was the expression to seal a deal, but then we've got the word seal as the the animal in the sea. So we've got homophones, so this is clearly, it's an advanced level from the previous one. Prepositions over and come over here, go over there. Preposition of time, over 20 years, get over it, as a different expression, over the bridge, and things like that. With this particular, well, not this particular group, but with higher levels, we go as far as formal and informal language. With in the text, in this particular one of these texts, it contained the word wicked, and I can't remember whether it was, I'm pretty sure it was a formal word for the word evil. But in England, especially the youngsters, they use the word wicked as very good or smashing. So they use it in a totally the opposite way. So, they, especially the young children, oh, that's wicked. It means that's very,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
I don't like that kind of language, but then I can't escape it because I live
Mhm.
with them. And for example, when my son says to me, oh, that's wicked, I go, oh, do you mean that's evil? No, mum, I mean that's very good. Oh, okay. I just pretend.
Yeah.
But I don't want, in one way, I do want my learners to know about the colloquial language in the street because they live in society. But at the same time, I wanted them to know the formal language. So with an entry 3 and above, level 1 and level 2, and with the newly qualified teachers, because they most of them are not English. They're from different countries, so everything is new for them. So I tend to um, look at not just vocabulary items, but some areas in the language which is formal and informal. I don't do it a lot, but in every session we do at least, like now here, 2, 3, 4 words. So they've got the word wicked, which is the colloquialism of very good, and wicked, which is evil. The word smashing, which is excellent. And I can't remember why I put the word break in here. So don't ask me because I don't remember. That was on the third.
Okay.
Um, we also look at because they are at that level of accepting the idiomatic expressions, but I don't tend to start with the heavy ones, which I will at a certain point. But to begin with, we look at very simple ones, the everyday use vocabulary items. For example, it costs an arm and a leg. I mean, I know because I am a British citizen, I know that they face um, basically these three almost every day. It's not my cup of tea. Don't lose your marbles, or he lost his marbles. Yeah. So in every session, I come up with 3 or 4 or 2 that are manageable until we reach a certain stage of a language repertoire where they can actually move from the simple idiomatic expressions to the more challenging ones. Yeah. So with for example, with this lesson, it was an exam sort of practice lesson whereby at the end of the lesson, I was hoping, and well, obviously it doesn't work 100% because you always have the reluctant, students, excuse me, who are there just for the sake of being there. But in general, it works, and it worked here because that was related directly to their exam practice. So all learners would have practiced, understood, and used new vocabulary in conversations and extended it to written forms to enable them to read relevant texts, and the relevant texts were directly related to the exam practice. But my further objective was really to use the vocabulary practiced during these sessions beyond the classroom. Yeah, so this is not very different from the previous one related to the entry 2. There is just one more thing I wanted to share, which is this one. Can you see it?
Yeah, that's good.
So
Mhm.
again, this is related. I remember it was a reading session, but again, it was related to link to a good listening session whereby they had to listen. I designed, I collected or picked a vocabulary from a listening text, and obviously I wrote the text, and I just chose a few words and I put them here on this what's it called, a diagram or a table, and I asked them to listen. Well, first to read these words, study them, understand them, negotiate them, decide whether they are skills or experiences, because I think the lesson related to this particular area was to do with skills, employment, yes, you know, looking for a job. And we were negotiating the difference between skills and the word experience. So I had a text, listened to it, and I wrote it. So I put these words on the table here. They listened, they diagnosed the words and, you know, understood them. And then I asked them to fill in this table with other words, you know. So by doing that, they have done some kind of spelling. And then obviously, just like I did with the other texts, I provided them with the text, and that's their reading. By which time they would have known about 70% of the vocabulary items within that text. So here we go. We have tackled the you know, the reading comprehension.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's all what I have in my bag. What have I got here? No, that's something too. Yeah, and I keep searching for different.
I use this one, call it a day, a
Yes,
lot in my.
I like to use pictures because they are great for speaking and for writing. Sometimes I just put a random picture, and sometimes it is related to a topic, and they, you know, just talk about it, and then they it gives them a good sense of it expands their views and their vocabulary, because I do believe that they possess a great vocabulary, but if we don't give them that incentive of using it, it doesn't matter how, in speaking, in discussion, in writing, you know, the classroom is basically the only place where they can practice. So yeah, this was one of and the only problem is that I can't remember what I did. Uh, yes, and yeah, right. So I'm going to stop sharing, and I would love to, you know, hear your what you think, what you and if you have something to share with me, which I will share in my turn on Facebook and on YouTube, you know, I'll be happy to do that.
Yeah, I mean, so are you asking me about my feedback? The
Well,
feedback?
I,
Yeah, I
I accept
mean,
also. My students give me feedback, so you're a teacher.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, I mean, for sure it has to be something, whatever you do, the way you do it, I think it should align with your way of teaching. For example, for me personally, I wouldn't do it because it's just not my way of doing
Yeah.
things. But I'm pretty sure that there are people out there who would love that way. I mean, maybe for me as a student, it would be nice. I think it would be something different. Yeah, and I think I'd appreciate that if you did that to me as a student. But I wouldn't do it myself
No.
because it's just not my cup of tea.
Yes. Yeah. Good. You have
Like,
used it.
yeah, I mean, I've been in the business for over a decade, so I know how it works. So I think I could lose my marbles, right? If
Yes. Yeah.
if if if
But
I needed
it's
to do
not.
that.
It's just a suggestion. It's not the cup of tea of everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said, there are
Mhm.
other ways as well. So this is just
Um,
maybe a very, very small fraction of
yeah.
of ways of teaching or dealing. I wouldn't call it teaching, of dealing with you know, with the reading comprehension.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, I what I liked though was that, for example, you first listen. People can listen
Yeah,
to what they're gonna read.
that's right.
I
Yeah.
mean, I sometimes do it in my classes, but only when I have a book with my, like a student's book with my students, because it's not always the case. Usually I just prepare materials, random materials and texts. And as I said, it's based on reading. So we read random things. And like, for example, now we're reading about SUP, SUP, stand-up paddleboarding. And I also read like a checklist for a Schengen visa
Mhm.
in
Oh,
English.
that's
Because,
interesting. Yeah.
yeah, and because to me, we both deal with sounds, right? With
Yes.
phonetics and pronunciation. So to me, words and grammar are sounds,
Mm.
right? So uh separate sounds together create words, words together create
Sure.
sentences, sentences create grammar, and so on and so on. So I don't, what I like to do is to sort of get that negative, those negative emotions from my students, because I know if it's the case there. But for example, here in Poland, I mean, the problem is that people are afraid of speaking because they're afraid of making mistakes.
That's right.
And
Well,
they
that's not
are,
only in Poland.
yeah,
That's
I think
pretty
it,
much
of course, I
everywhere.
can only relate to
Yeah.
Poland, but I
Yeah.
think it's a broader
It is. Yeah.
issue.
Yeah.
But the reason it's happening, or it's been happening forever, really, is that in the Polish educational system didn't encourage pupils to make mistakes.
Mm.
When you made a mistake, you were pointed fingers at, you
Yes.
were
Yeah.
laughed at, you are stupid, blah blah.
Well, that was the case in England you know,
Also,
yeah, oh,
yeah.
yeah, not now. It has the system has changed dramatically, but
Mhm,
that was the case about 30 years ago, which
mhm.
really in the education age, that wasn't a long time ago.
Yeah. I
You know,
mean,
no,
of course, your students are at different age than mine, because mine are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and sometimes 60s.
okay.
So they were victims. So was
Yeah,
I.
yes.
So was I. I only got rid of that when I was in college. I was around 20, 22.
Okay.
And before that, I would be, I used to be afraid of, if I wasn't the best in class,
I bet you did. Yes. Yeah.
I was afraid
Yeah.
of speaking. Yeah. And
Yes.
only the higher, the better I was, the more confident I was.
Mm,
Now, and so for example, I always tell my students, here in my classes, you feel
really.
safe to make mistakes.
Yes.
The more mistakes you make, the sooner you get to the right
Yeah.
version. Of course, if I'm around and I can monitor and listen to you. And yeah, and
Mm,
certain words, are so mispronounced and so rooted in my students' heads that it's unbelievable. Sometimes it takes 8, 10, 15 times
times. Yeah. Yeah.
to repeat certain words.
But it is all about the practice, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, but
Yeah.
you see, when I have a person who's like 40 or 30, 40, doesn't matter. And for example, nowadays the word I hear a lot is basic instead
Uh-huh.
of basic. It's
Yes.
about the z sound that's quite normal in Polish. And people say basic, basic. Even people at C1 level,
Mm, mm.
B2, B2 plus, C1, basic, basic, basic. And it's so deeply rooted in their mind that but that's the only thing I can do. I can point out.
Yes. Yeah.
And if they, because that's another problem, if they spend time between classes on self-studying,
Mm,
then they can see, oh, this word, because I'll show you in a minute what my notes look like. And for example, by just pressing Control F, and you can search the file and see how many times a certain word appeared.
mm.
And for example, I have one group, people at C1 level, very good command of English, but basic and development instead of development,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's like 8 or 10 times in 4 classes or 5
Yeah.
classes, which is a
Yeah.
lot, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, so because I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a fan of homework. I
No,
don't.
no,
You're not
neither am
either.
I.
Okay, okay.
I
Yeah,
agree with you. Neither am I. Yeah.
because I believe that what we had in the class is enough. Like to master
More
what we
valuable
had in
than,
the class is already enough.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I like to create atmosphere that's kind of, maybe gonna sound strange, emotionless, because usually there's a lot of tension and negative emotions
Mhm.
connected with speaking English and learning English. That I just, in my classes there are no like difficult words or like C1 words and B1 level words. These are just words. Some
Yeah.
of them are more common, some of them are less common, but it's about just that idea of speaking English as if it were your native tongue. Because when you're speaking, when I'm speaking Polish, I don't think. Yeah. There
Yes,
are
that's right.
no emotions attached to speaking my mother
That's
tongue,
right. Yeah.
because it's been there,
Yeah.
and that's my idea. uh, I want to do the same with English.
Yes.
Yeah. So I want to take those negative emotions out of my students,
Yeah.
and I
But
want
then
them to be kind of vanilla, as they say, you
yeah,
know.
but
Um,
it's a two-way system, isn't it? They've got to contribute to that as well, because otherwise it will be,
I mean, it's, as I said, I work in the private sector. I don't work in the public sector. So people come, and usually they need to pay for classes, unless those are like, classes in companies, yeah,
yeah,
corporate classes, and maybe they're reimbursed or whatever. But it's their choice,
yes,
not
okay.
mine. I'm not here to beg you to study. It's your
No,
choice.
sure, yeah.
I'm here to do my job. I love my job, so
Mm.
I can talk about the same mistakes for ages, and it gives me pleasure,
Mhm.
and it's fun. But I've gotten several students in my career who really put a lot of effort,
Good.
and the change in their thinking,
Mm.
speaking, reading, pronunciation was tremendous.
Good.
But
As long as there is that kind of progression, you can see it happening.
I mean, I can as a
Yeah.
teacher, because I have a very good memory when it comes to, oh, I remember you used to mispronounce this word, but now that person doesn't even realize that.
Yes, that they
And,
they,
and
they were
that's and
making
that's nice. That's what I
adjustment.
want to.
Yeah.
I want to do that my students don't even realize the change, and that's the ticket. Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
point. So and there are different people, different levels, of course. Also, my approach is that at higher levels, you don't need to, you kind of use English as a tool, not as a goal. Like
Mhm.
improving, you know what I mean? Like I don't speak that much at higher levels with people. We mostly read because I want to enhance their grammar and vocabulary,
Yeah.
because they don't have any problems with speaking. I mean, they make mistakes while
Yeah,
speaking.
but
That's
that's yeah.
something else, right? So yeah.
Mm.
And
That's interesting.
yeah. So hold on, I'll show you one of my like notes.
Yeah.
So it's either like a PDF or just a Google Docs file, and my students have access to this file, 24/7 whenever they want.
Mhm.
And in my classes, my students never make notes, because I always make notes live.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So let me choose something. Um, maybe.
Can you share or
I will share, but I'm looking for, because I don't, I some files are called like with my students' names and things. I just want to choose something that's, won't
No, what I mean is, if you can't share, I think I'll have to make you the
I haven't checked that yet, but give me a second. Maybe
host.
uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Okay, maybe because I usually name my student the files with my students' names, and I don't want to
No, it's confidential, so
confidential, exactly.
yeah.
So I'm just looking because I have like
Mm.
50 or 70, and I'm looking for oh, maybe this one. Okay. Uh, let me see. Okay. Now I'll try to share. I can't. Okay, so you need to change that. Mhm.
Do you want me to make you the host?
No, I mean, it's you don't need to. I think there is just this like box you have to.
A share
check.
screen or something?
No, no. I mean, you need to. I mean, I can't. So you need to give me access to.
Yeah, that's what I mean, to make you the host.
If it's the only way, then okay. Yeah, but
Yeah,
I thought
yeah.
there was another way. Like you just allow me to.
Yeah, how do I do that? So follow
Maybe go to users or like attendees and
see, like you said, I'm not really very technical, but
welcome to the club.
how do I do that?
I think you need to like click on attendance
Notes, I
and
don't.
then click on me, and
Right,
or maybe go to option. No.
I've got view here.
Mhm. Or you can share your screen and I can help you out. Maybe I'll be able to help you out.
I don't know. I usually do it with this will.
Because maybe because you're recording. No, but I don't think it's
No,
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 it's not.
that I usually record and I'm not sure.
Okay, but if you go to the list of attendance, yeah,
Yeah,
and you click on me, is there an option like make host or?
nope. Because we're not sharing anything now. So,
I forgot. Hmm.
oh,
And when you click share your screen, isn't there an option to allow others to share?
I think multiple can share. Yeah, I've just
Yeah.
done it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Mhm. Yes, perfect. Okay.
yeah,
You can see
yes.
it now. Yeah, can you see it?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, so it's a group of four ladies, B1 level. And yeah, and for example, when we have the first 5-10 minutes, we usually chat. I ask about their day and what's going on in their lives and what happened during the week and blah, blah, blah. And as they speak, I make notes. And somebody
Mhm.
said, I live in Polish.
Okay.
Yeah. And so for example, I create a list. I don't interrupt. I just make notes live,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
they speak. I sometimes correct them live, but I usually just let them speak.
Yes.
They get into the rhythm, the flow, and when they're done, I share, or either I share my screen. I mean, they also have access to those notes, so they can open the notes themselves.
That's
But
better. Yeah.
usually during classes, I share my screen, so they just focus on the screen. Yeah,
Mm.
and then yeah, I wrote the correct form. I live in Poland, and this is this simplified simplified pronunciation
Phonetics for,
using the
yeah,
Polish letters.
yes, yeah,
And of
yeah,
course, the apostrophe for stress.
yeah,
Poland, yeah, Poland. And then the same thing you had, which is Polish, which is the adjective,
yeah,
and Polish, which is, yeah, like
yeah,
sometimes there are mistakes, but it happens. And nail polish, for example.
yeah.
Somebody said it's mean. Yeah, it's a very common mistake also. It
Mm,
means, I mean, I don't have practice, I think, practice English. I don't have somebody said like this. I don't use English. So then I provide them with the right forms. And then sorry, blah, 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 because there were also bad words there, CUNT, because a lot of people here mispronounce this word.
mm,
Yeah. So these are all the mistakes. So
yeah,
basically, I create the history of my students' mistakes, and
yes,
they have
yeah,
access to it.
yeah.
Also very
That's
probably,
another good way. Yes, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. A lot of people say such as instead of such as, and I tell them don't say such as because as is as, yeah,
Mm,
a double s. Uh, and so yeah. And then,
that's
for example,
good.
I'll show you the text because, and this is just one class, yeah,
Yes, yeah, yeah.
63 entries, yeah. Um, I want to show you this is the accounting group, I remember. I'll show you because once I read a text with them, you see, it's 31 pages of notes. I
Mm,
have sometimes 100 pages
yeah,
in groups, so that's a lot. And here you have some grammar too, like should have the third form of the verb, which is the what didn't happen but should have happened in the past.
mm,
Should have called me. She should have called me, and things like that. And we also have a book with that group. So I share the notes and the interactive book on one screen. So we do the
mm,
exercises. They read all the instructions. If there is a mispronunciation, I all immediately write it down and
yeah.
we think about it. But I want to show you the text. Mm. Oh, there you go. Okay. Once I remember, it was like 5 a.m. in the morning, and I woke up and I found a video about changing re, re changing something in your brain or something.
Mm,
And I found a video and then I generated the text. And for example, somebody reads, sorry, somebody reads and words in bold were either mispronounced
okay.
or the student
What do you
didn't
mean?
know the meaning of the
Yeah,
word. Yeah. So if there are slashes, it means that there was a problem with pronunciation.
okay.
Yeah, so the person reads. Of course, the only negative thing is that, for example, somebody says morning, so I immediately do this, and they may get distracted, but after some time they just get into the rhythm and they
Yeah, they
just
get used to it. Yes, yeah. Mm.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, and as you can
That's
see,
very, this is really good, the
yeah,
text and the way you,
yeah, I do it live, yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's very
Uh,
good.
yeah, so as you can see, there are lots of words, and this
And
is
it's very clear. It's
yeah,
like a self-assessment where
yeah.
they look at it and they can, correct themselves
Yeah,
because
and
there's not, yeah,
they have everything
yeah,
on a plate,
that's true.
right? The only thing they need to do is to to study these words again. And for
Mm,
example, after some time, this is just one text, yeah.
mm,
After some time, we read it again, but without the notes.
okay.
So then you can compare. You can compare if there is progress or not.
Yes.
There is usually. I can show you. Give me a second. I'll stop sharing for a second. I'll show you another one where I did that. I think it's this person. Yes. Mhm. Mm. No, it's not this one. Sorry. It's yeah. Now I can't find it. Hold on. For example, this one. This is a funny group. This is like A1/A2 level. And 4 people, 1 guy and 3 girls. I mean, 2 girls live in Denmark. The guy used to live in Norway, now is a van driver around Europe, and he usually connects driving while he's driving.
Mm.
And we of course met online, but we want to meet face to face during the summer break.
Okay.
And no, my bad. It's not this group. My bad. It's this one. Sorry. So this is A1. Yeah. So we of course started with the alphabet and the problematic letters. I like to, because a lot of people have problems with the alphabet and the letters.
Yes. Yeah.
I like to give, for example, in Polish, we've got certain abbreviations that are pronounced with the English in the English way, not in the Polish way. For
Okay.
example, a lot of people confuse A, E, and I in Polish because the letter A is A, but in Polish it's just A.
Ah, yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So the letter E is E, but in Polish it's E. So A, they confuse A with E. They confuse I. And then I like to come up with certain abbreviations that everybody knows. For example, CIA, everybody knows
Yes. Yeah.
CIA.
Mm-hmm.
We don't say CIA because that's the Polish way. CIA. Nobody says.
And that's the French way as well.
Is it? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Or the TV brand, yeah, LG. Yeah. We
Mm.
say I have a LG at home, not LG. It's the Polish way, yeah. And
Yes.
this way people, yeah. And for example, even at intermediate levels, there are mispronunciations in the basic words, like the days of the week, uh, months, and so on. And believe it or not, I have classes with this group twice a week. And in the last class, even though it's the A1/A2 level, we did the conditionals.
Yes. No, no, I went through experiences like that, yes. And it did work.
Oh,
Mm.
yeah. A lot of people say January or January, yeah, instead of January, March instead of March, April instead of April.
Mm.
This is the worst one, because the problem here is that the AU in Polish is pronounced AU.
Oh, yeah, all right.
So they say August. It's August,
Yeah.
August or August.
Now I know because I've got a couple of Polish students.
Yes, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Or I don't
And
know
they're,
why. Yeah.
their grammar is they're very good at grammar, but then when
Yeah, because that's how in schools they
it comes
teach
to
us grammar. I mean, I
pronunciation,
love grammar. I could talk about grammar all day long, but
yeah,
yeah, but people are afraid of grammar, and usually because of some bad experiences they had in school, yeah.
okay.
Oh, and for example, I have my own way of teaching people grammar tenses. Always, it's like 3 levels. First, they need to be able to name all the 12 tenses. And it's super easy because you have the time aspect and the action type. And we have present, past, future, and simple, continuous, perfect, and perfect continuous. And then you just take one